Yo, what's going on, guys? It's 2:10 a.m. right now. I can't sleep as usual, so I thought I'd have a little yapping session, give you guys another serving of your slop. It's part of your just daily nutritional intake. It's basically like water. So in this video, I kind of just wanted to talk a bit more about what is most likely going to be the final trailer that we're going to get before getting season 1 of the new Devil May Cry anime from Netflix. The other day I made a reaction with me and my friend. We kind of just watched through the trailer for the first time, and in that video I kind of felt like I didn't articulate my points or get across what I was trying to say as well as I should have in a video like that. I think the reason being that, just like me personally, I don't know if this is a common thing, but when I'm just watching something for the first time and just giving a live reaction in real time, I tend to kind of overreact to stuff just because of just how hype I am about the fact that I'm even watching the thing. And I gave some overreactions to some things that weren't even really a big deal in hindsight. So I just wanted to make another video and kind of just not really clear up, but just kind of explain what me and my friend meant in that video a bit more clearly, without all of the super crazy excitement and overreaction that comes from watching the trailer for a show that you're super excited about and seeing things that you didn't expect for the first time and giving your live overhyped reaction. I want to make this quick. I don't want to make this too long. So the first thing I want to talk about is Virgil. I feel like Virgil is the topic of the trailer that caused the most conversation. So in this anime, Virgil has an all new look and an all new voice actor. He's being voiced by Robbie Daymond, who also voice acted in a million other things before. And I want to clarify that I don't think that his voice sounds bad, right? I just don't think it sounds like Virgil, right? And I'm going to explain because a lot of people left comments saying oh, well, you're fine with Dante's voice changing and Dante's voice being different, but then when it's Virgil's voice, then you're upset or disappointed that it's a different voice, and I'm biased towards Virgil or something like that. The reason that I was a little bit surprised by his voice isn't because it's simply different. It's just because I don't really feel like it sounds like Virgil. I like Dante's voice in this anime because it sounds like a young Dante, because I think that's how a young Dante would sound. I don't think that this is how a young Virgil would sound, and because of that, I'm not the biggest fan of it right now, but I'm sure in watching the show it'll grow on me. It's kind of like a situation with Arkham Origins. I remember when that game came out. It's a Batman game, by the way. I remember when that game came out, everybody was like, oh dude, Roger Craig Smith, man, his voice is terrible. It's not the same as Kevin Conroy. This is awful. But then over time it kind of grows on you a little bit. You get used to it. And then we had a more recent game, Arkham Shadows Batman game. He did the voice acting for that and nobody really seemed to have a problem with it at all. That's what I think it's going to be like with Virgil's voice here, done by Robbie Daymond. It's just something that just seems a little bit jarring to me and a lot of other people right now, but over time I'm sure his voice will grow on everybody and then we'll actually start to like it. Not to keep bringing up Batman, but Batman in all of his animated interpretations and in video games and stuff has a few different voice actors that play him. Like I mentioned earlier, you have Kevin Conroy, you have Roger Craig Smith, you have the guy that does the voice for him in the DCAU movies. I'm not sure what his name is, and these are all respected as being voices for Batman, but they're all so similar to each other. They all have the same cadence and tone, and they're all recognizable as being a Batman voice, even though they're a different interpretation of it. If we got a new animated Batman movie or video game and Batman's voice in it was more nasally and nerdy, then I wouldn't like it, because I would feel like it just doesn't really sound like the character. It doesn't really sound like Batman, and that's kind of how I feel with Virgil's voice here. But I feel like it's such a small difference that eventually it'll just grow on me. I'm just used to Virgil's voice sounding a lot more nasally and kind of slightly nerdy, if that makes any sense. So just hearing a super deep voice on Virgil, especially on a version of him that's supposed to be way younger, just kind of shocked me. And that's why I had my initial reaction of being oh dude, it's not Dan, or it's not anybody who even really sounds like Dan either. It's just a whole new kind of voice. So to summarize, I like Dante's voice and I think he sounds good because I feel like that's how a younger Dante would sound. Right now, I'm not the biggest fan of Virgil's new voice because I don't personally feel like that's how a younger Virgil would sound. If anything, he sounds older than the Virgil in DMC5, and the Virgil in DMC5 is 43 years old. So there's that point. As far as the way Virgil looks, I didn't really get that much of a good look at him. I mean, it's obviously not as cool as his appearance in DMC5, There's not many things that are as cool as that. But I do like how he wears his blue amulet on his scarf. I find that pretty cool. And I like the little latches that are on his like shoulder of his jacket. I don't know exactly what they're for. Maybe they're just for swag, but I like how he has these little latches or like little straps there. And that's basically it for Virgil. As far as the music choice for the trailer, we got a song from Papa Roach. I'm not sure what the song is called, but it's the one that's like suffocation, no breathing, last resort. It's called, or something like that, like my last resort. I don't know exactly what it's called. A lot of people in the comments disagreed with me and my friends, saying that they really liked that song, and I just want to point out that I don't think it's a bad song. It's a very good song. Like, I think it's one of the most recognizable songs ever. It's objectively not a bad song, and I definitely think it's something that Dante would listen to, especially at the age that he's at in the anime. But me and my friend's reaction to it being in the trailer just comes from the fact that I feel like that song kind of has a little bit of a negative connotation to it, because it's been memed to hell and is like just associated with like the cliche trope of being like a edgy, like misunderstood teen that nobody understands. And the song has just been associated with that meme so much and just been memed to hell that when you see it in a trailer like this and it's supposed to be like taken seriously, for me personally and for my friend, it was just kind of hard to take it seriously. That song is just so well known and so recognizable as being a part of that like turn around and die, you know, like that whole thing. That we just couldn't help but laugh. Not because it's a bad song, right? It's a good song, but just what that song has just kind of been associated with in meme culture, if that makes any sense at all. Hopefully you guys understand that. The final thing I wanted to touch on was some of the 3D animation, or what's called CG, that's being used in the anime. There was quite a few segments in the trailer that showed scenes that have like heavy 3D animation, and I totally understand it. You know, budgets for shows aren't infinite, and you know, the time you have to work on it isn't infinite either. Deadlines need to be met, so I completely understand the use of the 3D animation. But what kind of concerns me a little bit is that the trailer is what's supposed to show off the coolest, greatest, like most awesome moments in the whole season. So to see so much 3D CG animation in what is supposed to be the show's best moments was just a little upsetting to me. I wish this show would have gotten a much bigger budget, or maybe, I don't know, had more time to be created, so we didn't have just as many 3D segments. There's shots that we were shown in the trailer that the whole thing looks like it's just 3D models, and when you look closely at it, it doesn't look right. I'm not saying this is the fault of anybody working on the show at all. It's just an unfortunate reality of, you know, budgets for a show like this not being infinite and not having infinite time to work on them. I totally understand it, but it just still kind of sucks to see. It's definitely not as bad as something like Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is my favorite anime of all time, but bro, some moments in that anime with the 3D animation, Jesus Christ, you'll be watching the show and then all of a sudden it'll just cut to some other shot where Askeladd doesn't even have a face. He just looks like he's from some Nintendo 64 game. That show has some crazy 3D moments. There was nothing quite that bad, but it just still kind of sucks to see it in an anime of a series that I love so much. Hopefully this first season does great, you know, it makes a lot of money, and then in the next season we don't have any 3D CG stuff at all. But yeah, it is almost 3 a.m. now, so I'm gonna go get some sleep. Thank you guys for listening to me yap again. Hopefully I kind of cleared some things up and explained what I think about the anime a little bit better. Can't wait for this thing to come out. I'm going to be making like a million videos, dude. Deep dives into the episodes, all details you missed, bro. Like my favorite parts, you know, top 10 fights in the show. You know, I'm going to be super into this. So, you know, thank you guys for watching the videos. I'm going to get some sleep, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.